Hi, this is Shakira.
And this is Lia,
We're cooking up a great conversation.
starting with a cup of insights,
Add a tablespoon of fun.
a slice of drama,
Drama. A pinch of salt.
para may konting alat, and lots of pepe.
Siyempre, may anghang.
Welcome to Salt and Pepe Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Salt and Pepe Podcast. This is Shakira season.
Welcome back to Salt and Pepe Podcast. This is Lia. Hello, everyone.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Very exciting. I feel like we're on a roll, actually.
Yeah, me too. The last topic, yun na naman yung energy natin, no? Dahil mapag-usapan kahit negative energy.
Actually, doing a little bit of work on that episode, parang sabi ko, alam mo, we were so passionate when we were recording that. Parang ang dami nating, I think, I wouldn't say hugot, pero parang naalala about our complaints. I don't want to say about the world, pero just parang collected resentments in our interactions.
I think so, yeah. Sobra from our our interactions with friends, with family, I mean with other people na about their sentiments also, 'di ba? On our culture.
Yeah. So we are excited to bring you our episode 17. I know, Lia, that this is kind of like your line of work too. So why don't you introduce our topic?
So for this topic, as Kia said, line of work, background. So I'm a strength and conditioning coach, PE teacher. So talagang fitness and health talaga yung background. So with this, we are talking about food.
Specifically, I think
Nutrition.
our relationship with food, nutrition, and how like different factors play into this.
Especially
Right.
now at this tita age again.
Mhm.
Diba? How things have changed really from
Yeah.
that's how
I
we
feel
think
like,
about
'di
food.
ba, before we could really take for granted na parang kahit ano yung kainin natin, we'll just bounce back. Parang babawi na lang ako later. Even if I eat this terrible thing now, it's going to be okay. But I feel like as time goes by and as we age, hindi naman sobrang tanda, but you know, there are times when nararamdaman mo talaga yung kinain mo.
Yes.
Or
Remember?
right?
Exactly, like what we ate during college, or you know what?
Yeah.
We just eat,
Kahit
diba?
na puro pansit canton lang yung kinakain dati. Or I just remembered that there was a time na wala akong kinakain kung hindi manggang hilaw na with bagoong at saka Coke.
Wow.
Tapos wala naman nangyayari, hindi ako nagiging acidic, wala. Pero ngayon kasi
Exactly.
parang you eat something a little bit salty, parang buong katawan mo yung nararamdaman, right? So,
Hindi mo bloated na bloated ka,
yeah.
diba?
So that's
True.
why we thought that this was a good topic to talk about, especially now that we're thinking about health. I feel like food is, you know, one thing actually that you have full control of.
True.
Diba? There are things like your exposure to your environment or exposure to chemicals, for example. Sometimes even your exposure to stress, it's not something that's completely in your control. But what you put in your mouth is completely under your control. So we thought that it's important to understand our relationship to food and how to manage our triggers so that we can have a little bit more be more empowered in our food choices,
True.
right? So I know that part of your training when you have clients, you know, for conditioning or personal training, I'm sure that you always consider also the nutritional factors and what their eating habits are. So we'll start with emotional triggers. And so I wanted to ask you, how do you talk about emotional triggers in eating when you're talking to your clients, for example, or for yourself?
So exactly, no, when somebody wants a program, I give the program, the strength program, but I also ask also about their eating habits. Kasi
Mhm.
sometimes naman, it depends naman really on wow, talagang parang client ano talaga 'no? It really depends on
Consultation,
their
may libre akong
oo,
consultation today.
consultations talaga. It really depends on their goals, 'di ba? Kasi
Mhm,
if it's really strength and conditioning, it's an athlete, iba talaga yung goals.
mhm,
But if your goals talaga is fitness or syempre you wanna trim down, 'di ba?
mhm,
Iba rin yung pag-uusapan doon. So,
mhm,
common na tayo dun sa hindi super athlete. So, for the common ano, yung trimming down
mhm,
healthy ano habits, I do ask. But not really on the emotional triggers. I just ask what your eating
mhm,
habits are. Because
mhm,
if you really want to have a goal of losing weight or, trimming down,
mhm,
you have to also take care of your eating habits in a week.
mhm,
So I would ask them if they're really not aware, is just to just have that one
mhm,
week and just track it down. And then eventually we can look at it and see how it can match dun sa training.
mhm,
Kasi right now, studies show is really, although if you exercise and exercise, that's good. But if you don't manage your eating habits talaga,
mhm,
it won't help on your goals.
mhm,
Diba? If your goals
mhm.
is just to be, fit, then you can just eat. Syempre, but of course, you wanna not eat the processed foods. Yun lang naman yun eh.
Yeah,
Yun lang naman yun yung um, juice or, yung hindi
mga
natural.
sugary
Yeah,
stuff,
sugar stuff.
right?
As much as possible. Sayang naman yung workout mo, di ba? If your organs are not functioning well, di ba? Your
Yeah.
muscles are good and everything, pero yung iba namang functions ng katawan mo, hindi mo na ma-manage because of your
Mhm.
bad eating habits. But yun din.
Right.
So, it
Yeah.
really
So,
has to be together. Eh,
yeah, and
yeah.
I
Mhm.
think I think sometimes kasi when it comes to talking about food or diet or nutrition, ang laki ng focus kasi dun sa weight loss factor na
Yes.
parang calories or fat or whatever. And also, there's a bias na kung hindi ka overweight, you're supposed to be healthy na agad. But you can't really see in the weight of a person if they're eating a lot of processed food or salty food or artificial colors,
Exactly.
artificial flavors. You don't know, especially in your line of work, if they're doing physical training, they might not be overweight and they might not be exceeding their calories, calorie intake for the day. But kung hindi sila kumakain ng nutritious food, proteins to supplement what you're doing, walang mangyayari, sayang yung effort, di ba?
Exactly, 'di ba? Kasi you don't know that talaga, eh. Yung
Mhm.
sinasabi ni Kia, if you want to know that, you really have to get your blood and just check everything,
Yeah.
'di ba? But exactly, it's just eating properly with your exercise. So those are the things you wanna think about, of course. Actually, you wanna think about that also when you're young. Although you wanna try everything, 'di ba? It's not naman bad, but you just have to just make sure
Mhm.
you know what's coming inside
Mhm.
your body.
Mhm.
So ikaw, Kia, how do you feel about your emotional relationship with food?
I feel like yung emotional relationship with food, it's very important because you can decide all you want. I'm not gonna eat so much. I'm gonna eat healthy. Ang dami mong intentions, right? And resolutions since we're going about to start a new year. Ang dami mong mga promises sa sarili mo na hindi na ako kakain ng junk food, hindi na ako ganyan. But your emotions and your emotional triggers overpower these rational intentions all the time. Kaya tayo bumibigay eh. And that's why we tend to cheat ang tawag nila, right? Because and parang break our promises. Because there are things that we either can't control or we don't recognize are factors to food, right? And I actually was doing some reading and I found out that our food interactions are actually a mirror of our emotions. We think na sometimes we don't think na may connection siya or sometimes we think that everything is under control and that we're not a victim of parang becoming overwhelmed and not having control over our food intake. But if you think about it, think of a time where you were extremely sad, either breakup or death of someone close to you. Di ba hindi ka makaramdam ng gutom? Like you don't even think of food. That's why when I know someone na going through a breakup or going through death in the family, I always say, are you eating? Are you sleeping? Force yourself to eat. Force yourself to sleep because you're not going to feel that. When you're in the extremes of your emotion, hindi ka makakaramdam nung food, nung hunger mo. And that's why nga sabi nila, pinakamagandang diet daw yung breakup diet, di ba? I
Oo.
just remember I've been through those times na kahit pilitin kong kumain, if I'm really, really sad, masusuka talaga ako. I can't put anything inside my mouth or I can't swallow anything. It's the same as like, di ba sa movies nangyayari. Sa akin hindi pa nangyayari. Yung parang kung super shocked sila or parang overcome with emotion, yung nasusuka. Right? So that's how you know that there's emotional triggers in your body that can like overwhelm and you have a physical reaction to that. On a happy note, if you remember a time na you met someone and you fell in love and you spent 3 days in bed with them, parang hindi ka din nakakaramdam ng good. Parang you don't need anything in the world. Tapos
True.
pagka kunyari, let you finally say, tara, labas tayo, kumain na tayo. Parang ang takaw ninyo kasi ang saya
Oo.
ninyo. Parang you want to celebrate the world and the happiness. As parang
True.
lahat ng bagay na lalasahan mo, ibang-iba yung lasa from before. Parang food never tasted as good
Yes.
as, before you met them. As parang
True.
bottomless pit yung stomach mo naman. Kasi, the people you're with, it just brings out your happiness and your desire, I think, to take care of yourself and satisfy yourself. And if you're stressed, you eat mindlessly or you parang gorge yourself. Ako, I'm guilty of that na parang napapansin ko minsan. Parang, stressed ako. I'm pressed for time and I need to get from this commitment to this other commitment. But I know that I need to eat. Even if I'm not hungry, I'm preempting my hunger. So I'm just
Mm.
gonna stuff myself with some random
Wow.
tasty thing or something para lang, to just ease my mind na para lang I can say to myself, I took care of that need. And therefore, I can focus on the other things that are stressing me out. Parang sa akin, ganun yung subconscious na feeling. And I think just like any other drug, I think food is another drug or
Oh,
another
yes.
way that we use to comfort ourselves. Um, you know, uh, there's a strong relationship between food and self-soothing. A lot of people who didn't learn to self-soothe when they're feeling something, real strong emotions in their body, you tend to either overeat or you escape with like substances like alcohol or drugs, right? Or sex, because you're a human being, and when you feel something, parang you need to calm yourself down. And the only ways you can do that is to do something to your body, right? So either sometimes when they teach you in therapy, sometimes na parang you rock yourself, you hug yourself, yung parang you meditate, you breathe, yung mga ganyan. And other ways of soothing yourself, yun na nga, food or drugs,
Ah.
or sex. And so I know that I tried, I think, to be really aware of the things that I tend to gravitate towards, knowing my background and knowing like my triggers and knowing my all my traumas. I mentioned before na I have an addictive personality. It also applies to food. Yung just like with anything else, when I like something na parang kailangan kainin ko siya hanggang sobrang magsawa na ako. I have that tendency. And I read recently that, it is true that food fills the emotional void that you had growing up. If you felt empty or you felt like you were carrying something and no one was comforting you and you had to take care of yourself, as a child, you're gonna find ways to soothe yourself, kung ano man yun. Some people like
Mm.
to go out, 'di ba? Meron ng tao na may self-harm, but I think the most common one is food. Talaga yung overeating or binge eating or eating like extreme amounts of something specific to just satisfy or parang to stimulate yourself so that you don't have to feel all the other stuff.
Mm.
Uh, I have a strange family history with food. I feel like in my family, food was a big source of control. Like, I don't know if I don't want to speak for my siblings, but I feel like we all have some kind of eating disorder, like secret eating or binge eating or extreme dieting, because there was a big emphasis on food with us growing up. There was a sort of like a training na there shouldn't be so much food on the table. I think there was I don't know, a subliminal message na food is not in abundance. So you learn to respect food and you learn how to just take your own share or take your own share right away or else someone else will take it. Yung may mga ganon
Wow.
or portions running out or there's a strong commentary about food or what you're eating or what you're not eating. Like when I was a child, maselan talaga ako, hindi ako kumakain. So parati akong napapagalitan, you know. And also, our meal times were very stressful. Parang yun kasi yung one point na nagmi-meet yung buong family and then there's a lot of pressure and tension and stressful moments. Hindi kasi siya happy times. So I feel like my siblings and I have this tendency, and I see this and I notice this in all of us, that we're very big on secret eating. Yung
Mm.
ayaw mo na may nanonood sa'yo, or you're gonna eat this like hiding in a corner because ayaw mo na mapagalitan ka, or you think na mapapagalitan ka, or you don't want to be seen enjoying yourself because baka kunin sa'yo or something. It's a very strange and actually funny thing that my wife actually laughs about kasi, she'll laugh at me kasi, I'll hide in the pantry and I'm gonna eat Nutella in secret. Tapos, makikita lang niya may isang jar doon, tapos mamaya paubos ng paubos, or sometimes she'll see na merong spoon na, ano siya, malinis na siya because nilinis ko na siyang ganon, but she's like, is this Nutella? Like, when do you eat this? Parang, why do you have to eat in secret? So, all those
Wow.
examples, when I reflect on those things, it makes me keenly aware of my emotional triggers when it comes to eating. Parang, because I have to be aware because I know there's so many. In order for me to have some kind of self-control, I have to understand what my triggers are and what kind of hang up or what kind of like experience am I trying to soothe or replicate or parang uh, get some kind of resolution on. And
Wow.
it's a constant struggle for me, especially when it comes to food, mealtime interactions. And I mentioned nga before that if you really want to piss me off, like you mess with my water intake kasi obsessed ako sa tubig and food. Like kung magutom ako, like traveling, if you keep me away from food or you don't allow me to bring my snack in my bag, which makes me feel like kahit anong mangyari, hindi ako magugutom, that's really a sure way to get me to lose my temper. Hindi lang halata because I'm trying really hard, but there's a whole mess behind this whole thing.
Wow, grabe sobrang interesting. Pero kasi ang galing, eh, you're really aware na talaga of
Mhm.
what you do. Kasi when you get
Yeah.
older, 'di ba, you don't really think about how food can trigger you pa talaga,
Yeah.
'di ba? I
Iba,
mean,
and yeah, it's such a basic thing kasi, and it's such a
yes,
regular thing in your life.
exactly. If you're hungry, you
So,
eat, 'di ba?
yeah. And if there's like something that parang it's out of the ordinary that you observe in you, na parang kunyari medyo some people are a little bit like really like obsessed with food or nagagalit, ayaw mag-share. There's some people who don't
Yes.
like to share. Eto, isn't that interesting? Don't like
Yes.
to share or
Kaya rin, ayaw
ayaw
mag-share
na
dati.
or ayaw na malawayan yung food or or even to share like even kahit may serving spoon. Meron din kasing taong ganun and sometimes people just accept it as how they are. But I think it's very interesting to kind of reflect to see where these things are coming from.
Cool nga eh.
Kasi baka meron kang kailangan i-address so that you're not so showing all these behaviors that are strange because especially at this day and age, our state of our careers, financial status, there's no need to be afraid of sharing. Diba?
But it's interesting ang galing. Hindi ko rin naiisip, no? So, I'm trying to think out now talaga what my food habits are. I mean, because of that. Sa akin naman, wala man akong emotional triggers. I think sa akin
Mhm.
lang, if I'm in a new relationship, I know I'm gonna get bigger.
Mhm.
Kasi para exactly what you
You're
said.
happy.
Yeah. 'Di ba kasi you have somebody new or you have a partner and you wanna share kasi nga I enjoy food. So you wanna share everything that you like eating, you'll go
Yeah.
out, you'll eat. So it's a celebration talaga. So
Yeah.
for me, I know I'm gonna gain weight if I have a new partner.
And that's a good
Tapos
sign. I
ngayon,
think that's a good sign if you want to try
actually,
something new and parang you
you
kind
share
of also forget all of your, eh,
inhibitions.
inhibitions and also all your rules that you impose on
Yes.
yourself. And para all these
Kasi
things that you
excited.
when you're single na parang oh no, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that, pero pagka when you meet someone na parang I want to try everything with you, I want to show you what this
Exactly.
tastes like, I want to cook for you, especially if you like to cook, you want the other person to cook for you,
Yes.
you want to share that moment. So parati natin criticize yung mga tao na bagong relationship tas tumataba, but it really is
You know.
happiness.
Yes, actually, you know talaga. Na, uy, ang saya niya. Ganun talaga. But that's nice, no? So, kasi nga, and I already know that, no, yung mga emotional triggers. So, if I'm upset, I know, I don't wanna binge eat. So, kasi alam ko na na parang, pagsisisihan ko lang yun eh. Pero you know that when you get older nga, di ba? For me naman, food talaga is something that's nostalgic. Like you
Uh-huh.
also, we have to eat on the table. Talaga.
Mhm.
Hindi
Mhm.
kami yung family na pwedeng manood ng TV habang
Mhm.
kumakain. It's
Mhm.
really on the table talaga. But so far, okay naman. Although when you get older or may mga debates na, pero it's still fun sharing talaga the meal on the table. So ako talaga,
Mhm.
pag dinner time, sa table talaga, no
Yeah.
other place. Unless talagang nagmamadali or, I'm working from home, tapos yung break ko. Anyway, pero it's always dinner by the table. And just sa akin talaga nostalgic. If I'm sad,
Mhm.
it's not I binge eat. It's something I wanna eat because it will remind me of a happy time.
It's
So I
comforting, 'di ba?
comforting talaga. I won't eat a lot. I'll just take that soup,
Mhm.
ganon. Because
Mhm.
that's my favorite. We'll talk about favorite foods in another food topic.
You
Pero
know.
yon, soup will really make me happy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
sometimes the
so it
memory
makes
of
me hope.
being
Yes. Oh.
comforted or soothed by food. Like I remember a time now we have these friends na they just had a baby, two women. Tapos parang sobrang overwhelmed sila kasi they had a newborn, tapos pareho silang nagkasakit.
Oh no.
And tapos they were just so overwhelmed with the whole thing. They didn't really know what to do. They had no energy to cook. They just sent us a text that can you guys say, bring us something that is soothing. I remember that you guys make this chicken porridge kasi mga potito, arroz caldo daw na
Moscado, oh
ganyan
my
or
gosh.
whatever, right? And
Yes.
they just remembered that from years ago na we might have shared something with them and they remembered not the taste and not the the feeling, but what it, brought about in them, that it's a
Diba?
soothing, healing food. Ang sabi, can you bring us something healing? Right? And knowing what that means and offering that to someone else for them to have that experience, I think it's very special. And that's why we hang on to food as a source of comfort, 'di ba? Kasi
Sobra.
we associate a lot of our food experiences with family, with loved
Yan.
ones making us this food, or the time na they're cooking this for us, and then we smell it in the kitchen and we feel so special and we feel happy. So those are things that
Yeah.
are nice to remember and to think about. If,
Yes.
like, for example, you're stressed out, you're overwhelmed, maybe there's something that you can make or eat or whatever. Or it's a signal na, for example, you're eating that food, you don't know why, you're binging on this particular rich, comforting dish. Baka, and then you can parang reverse that and find out, maybe I need to be soothed, right?
Yes,
'Di ba?
exactly.
Maybe I'm
Mm.
lonely, maybe I'm sad, maybe I'm craving that kind of love and attention and affection, or a family member or whatever. And maybe that's something that you can also, like, solve. That's not a food solution. And it's like, talking to a friend or whatever it is that you want, or, that
Yes,
would help you,
exactly.
right?
Especially when we're here, 'di ba? I'm sure a lot of those na OFWs,
Yeah.
but they will cook
Yeah.
naman what will remind them
Kaya,
of home, 'di
right?
ba?
I'm sure it's the same in your
Ah,
household like mine. I had to learn so many things na lutuin, because really going to a restaurant is not the same,
no.
and it tastes different, and a lot of it is not easily accessible, and you don't want to spend. Yung mga ang dami kong natutunan, like, you
Yes.
know, I'm a Yaya's girl, and she always made me kare-kare on my birthday. So
Wow.
I
I
had to
love that.
learn how to make it the way she makes it. Mga ganon. At saka yung palabok, the palabok story. Right? I love
Yes.
palabok. So I really had to learn how to make it from scratch. Right?
Wow, that's
You
so cool,
know?
'di ba? So yun,
Yeah.
yung sa akin talaga, siguro that's the emotional trigger na hindi ko nakikita na I go food, to forget 'pag nasa-stress or anything malungkot. Tama rin, I don't eat, pero importante sa'kin ang ano, nutrition, eh. So, if I'm
Right?
sad, I know I have to eat. If I'm sick, I know I have to eat
Mhm.
kahit wala akong gana. So, yun.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very attuned to all these things, because you're not just because you're sensitive to your own needs, but because of your training,
Yes.
right? So and also you've always been involved in sports, so you know how important the food factor is. So given that, I'm curious to know if you see food as fuel or as a source of pleasure.
Ang galing. I like that question actually. Kasi nga, when it comes to working out and really thinking about, your fitness, food talaga is exactly a source of fuel lang. That's it. So
Mhm,
that's why your food, you will just eat that because you'll need that for your daily activity. And then kapag nagamit mo na nga yung food na
mhm,
yon because you worked out or you
mhm,
did your day, you
mhm,
have to replenish it. So that's just it, 'di ba? If you really think
mhm,
about it technically. Pero
mhm,
sa akin, naku, right now, it's really fuel, but
mhm,
um, I make sure if I want something, I don't deprive myself,
mhm,
for
mhm,
sure. I really don't deprive. If I wanna get that ice cream, I will. Pero talagang in portions at this point talaga. Hindi,
mhm,
I think nasanay na rin ako before with that, eh. So, um, although kasi nga dati ang eating habits mo lang talaga, you eat
mhm.
everything
Yeah.
right now. Right now, pero sobrang tagal na siguro, years na talaga, I don't drink any more soda or even yung mga
Mhm,
canned juice. Sobrang rare na talaga
mhm,
yon. Even yung mga canned or wala na talaga yon for a long time. Instant noodles, wala na rin talaga. But, so, I think right now it's more of source of fuel.
Mhm.
but I don't deprive myself
Mhm.
of food because if I
Mhm.
discover something
Uh-huh.
new, talagang kakainin ko yun. It's not something na, ay hindi. Parang food pa rin, titikman ko talaga siya. So
Mhm.
ikaw rin, you know food right now. I know how you're the way you cook. Ang dami mo nang hindi kinakain. So do you see
Mhm.
it as a fuel?
Um, I've always loved food. Uh, I gave a long history about my food background in my family, but also we all love food. We were, very much exposed to different kinds of food. That was like a special thing that we had. My parents, particularly my dad, was very adventurous eater, like international cuisine. During that time na konti pa lang kasi yung international cuisine in the Philippines. In Manila, during those years when we were growing up, 'di ba? Parang sobrang limited nga when I think about it, parang Japanese lang yata, parang Kimpura. 'Di ba? Parang
Yes.
'yon. Tapos parang McDonald's, isa lang yung
May saki
McDonald's, yung
naman,
mga
meron
ganyan.
pa.
May saisaki, pero later on na yung saisaki.
Actually, yeah.
Right? Tapos sobrang limited siya. But then I think my dad tried really hard na kung merong bago or he learns about ganyan na we're really exposed to it. So that was uh that was a passion that it was, I'm not sure if it was encouraged, but it was definitely allowed. And something that, a little bit that we bonded a little bit over. So I know the pleasure that comes with food, and I tend to take that a little bit overboard actually because of my love of food. But, you know, um, maybe about 15, 14, ano, 15, ang taon na ba? Ang tanda na kasi natin.
Grabe, no? 2000, you think about 2024, parang iniisip mo, oh my gosh, at tagal na pala ng
Parang feeling ko kasi
2005, di
kailan lang
ba?
yung 2010, right?
Exactly, di
'Di
ba?
ba? Kasi parang I just feel like we're kind of like still the same even though we're
Yes,
older, but I feel like it was just yesterday. But anyway,
true.
about 14, 15 years ago, um I got into a lot of endurance sports. Um I started to run, even though I thought that I couldn't really run. I just took it on and then I started running, and then um, got into endurance sports like running, triathlons. I've always loved to swim ever since I was a kid, but I never had really the opportunity until about 15 years ago when I decided that, oh, I'm going to train for a triathlon. Then I started doing like long distance, like swimming. So inevitably, you will know the importance of food as fuel, and
Super.
not just food itself, but food groups. It's not just like, oh, quantity of food. Hindi pwede kasing rice lang lahat eh. Or, di ba? Parang
Yes,
there's different, like there's
macro.
protein, there's fiber, there's all that stuff, not just carbs. And what kind of carbs? It has to be like healthy carbs
Yes.
and electrolytes, most of all,
Ay,
because
nako,
it's
yes.
not just water. Like you can drink so much water, but it can actually be dangerous if you don't watch your
Poison.
electrolytes. It can be dangerous when you're doing like an endurance sport. So I really learned the effect of, eating properly on my physical activity. Kasi nung una nun, of course, I was a bit younger then, but because of all the stuff that I was doing, I really lost weight. Tapos parang, oh wow, kasi nga 'di ba may sarili nga akong body issues. So sabi ko, shit, ang super payat ko, ang saya-saya ko kasi parang ang payat-payat ko. Tapos parang napapansin ko na parang, alam mo, parang there are times na nahihilo ko.
Yes.
Parang nagiging weak yung knees ko na parang, oh shit, parang mahihimatay yata ako. Parang bakit? And then I realized that I was still depriving myself of food. But I was doing so much. I was doing so much, and I wasn't feeding myself, or I wasn't giving my body the right fuel. And then I realized this can be dangerous for me,
Yes.
So I started to pay attention, and then I started to really feel the difference in my performance based on how I eat. Not just
Galing.
the quantity, but the quality of the food and what kinds of food like help build muscles or do this or whatever. And I stopped being obsessed with, no carbs. Kasi 'di ba, yun ang easiest way na, okay, no
Yeah.
carbs. But then you can't be no carbs when you're doing like
Endurance.
long endurance. You
No.
really need. Kasi
Yeah.
mahihimatay ka talaga. Parang it can be dangerous for you if you don't eat carbs. So it's an interesting journey. I didn't even
Actually.
think na I would actually get into all that physical activity. But it's interesting to learn, and it kind of taught me the importance of what you eat and how you see food. Kasi before that, I just saw food as like, oh, basta I'm not hungry. Tapos, ano, I don't want to eat so much kasi tataba ako. Yung ganun na yung iniisip mo na parang it doesn't matter kung ano yung kainin mo, basta hindi ka tumaba. But when you're doing something with your body, kailangan mo talaga to pay attention or you'll feel it. So, having said that, I do find great pleasure in food. It's such a binding force in relationships and in families, and it's how you show your love. Kaya there's so many traditions that revolve around food, and food, making it and serving it, is one of the most fundamental ways of showing your love and providing comfort and gathering people. you know, it's an interesting thing that I learned recently, because there was like a survey of, in a marriage, what is the hardest thing? And there was someone who responded that, the most time consuming thing in a marriage is food. If you want to sit down, spend time with your loved one, your partner, or your children, and eat healthy, satisfying meals, there's a huge effort that's involved,
Yes.
right? Because there's
The
buying
prep.
food, choosing the food, making sure your food sources are good, prepping the food,
Prep.
cooking the food, setting the table, sitting down to eat. Siyempre, hindi ka naman magmamadali, especially if you prepared, so much for that meal. You're not gonna
Mhm.
rush it,
Yes.
and you're doing all of this so that you can spend time with your loved ones and sit there and have a conversation and enjoy this, right? And then you wash dishes and then you put stuff away, multiplied by 3 times a day, especially if you're both remote. It
Oh
can
my.
be such a huge task, but that's what the cost is if you want to spend that time with your loved ones in that way, which is one of the most basic ways that you can spend quality time. Na talagang one-on-one and face-to-face, na no devices, no screens. You're not even doing anything. You're just sitting down and then you're eating. It's so basic and we take it for granted, but there's so much prep and effort and cost involved in maintaining that we don't see, right? But if you think of the flip side, imagine how your relationship would be if you did not sit down to eat with your partner or your family. Kasi may mga ganyan eh.
So different.
'Di ba may ganyan eh? I
Mm.
know a number of couples na they never sit down to eat together. Parang kanya-kanya. Kung kailan magutom, then they find something to eat or they order something. Tapos kanya-kanyang kain. Walang, oh, sit
Wow.
down with me or whatever. Parang kakain lang sila. And then you just go about your own separate ways. And, you kind of wonder, when do you spend time together? But I guess to each their own, right? But
Yes.
for us, I think we know the value of this. And for that, in that sense, that's very pleasurable, right?
Exactly. That it's so nice to know. Tsaka it will be with you when you get older eh. Na
Mm-hmm.
parang that's your memory talaga eh. And then
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you said, isip ng bata yun na parang, okay, it's our time. This is our time with the family. It's my
Mm-hmm.
time with my partner. And the thought of just fixing the food and fixing the table, it's actually a nice thought because yun nga yung effort, 'di ba? Sometimes when you really think about it, it's really time. You can love language, 'di ba? Na parang
Yeah.
it's so nice to think about that. And that's the part of the pleasure also with food, 'di ba?
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
when you eat it, to, where who you share it with, the time you spend together.
mhm,
So sobrang okay siya talaga if you really think about that. Yun nga, ang galing. It's also part of the pleasure. It's not only what you eat, but
mhm,
also who you're with and the
mhm.
time you did it. Galing, no?
Yeah.
So since we're talking about our loved ones, 'di ba? Syempre, you want to make sure that they're healthy, 'di ba?
Mhm.
So how do you feel when people around you, especially the people you care, are not eating healthy food at this point?
Right? Um, I guess a little bit of history, maybe at the same time siguro na I started being physically active. Before that, wala kaming pake, my wife and I, wala kami masyadong pake sa food. Although we never really had junk food at home. Pero yung kunyari meal times, parang kahit na fried stuff yun everyday, parang fried chicken or fried pork chop or whatever, we never paid that much attention to it. But then, like, I think we watched Food Inc., the documentary, tapos parang, wait, ganito ba yun? And then we've actually, after we watched that, was a kind of like a game changer for us. Parang we made a conscious effort to eat better, and we try our best, and I think we are healthier eaters than others. But recently, because of age na rin, we have to watch like cholesterol and all that stuff. So um we tend to really watch what we eat now. But we found out that other people have a misconception about healthy eaters
Mm.
being judgy, right? Parang sometimes kasi we're just eating our own food. Or for example, we're all eating in a restaurant and we choose the healthier dishes. Or we serve healthier dishes when people come over because that's what we eat. And then we hear things like, Naku, di nga ako kakain ng ganito, baka magalit ka. Sabi ko, hindi naman ako nagagalit, but a lot of people feel judged
True.
by your own choices kahit na hindi mo naman pinipilit sa kanila. And there's a certain kind of, I don't know if it's guilt or defensiveness that they feel like they have to defend their bad food choices, or no, hindi naman bad, but just healthy, right?
Yes.
Like people feel a little bit judged pag kumain sila ng crispy pata in front of us as if magagalit kami na parang, naku, baka magalit ka. Parang
Seriously?
hindi naman ako magagalit. I'm just letting you know that me, personally, I can't physically eat that. I try to stay away. It won't really like affect me so much physically aside from yung mga, minsan nararamdaman mo kasi yung mga high sodium at saka yung mga fat, di ba? Parang nararamdaman mo sa body mo. But for example, my wife, she has medical issues like that she really cannot digest fatty things. Masusuka talaga siya. So it's not a
Mm.
matter of being judgy, but she really physically cannot put that in her mouth kasi magkakasakit siya. She'll feel bad at baka masuka pa siya during this meal. But you don't explain that to people. You just
Yeah.
choose a healthier option, but people feel judged. Na
Oh.
parang kunyari, if it's a party, di ba? Everybody's drinking and you don't want to drink that night, people give you so much trouble. Di ba? Parang bakit? Anong problema? Do you have a problem? Do you have a drinking problem? Parang bakit? Ganyan, ganyan. Parang, there's this thing na it's interesting that we're observing now. Kasi naririnig namin parati yun na, ay, naku, na naman, healthy eater ka kasi. Baka magalit. It's funny. But anyway, to answer your question, I try to let people live and do whatever they want. These are the choices that they're making, and they probably didn't have the same experiences that I've had to make me decide that I want to eat better for myself and how I feel or what kind of activities that I'm doing. So if they don't, then they can eat whatever they want. I don't judge and I don't editorialize what they're putting in their mouths. But if I care about a person and I know that they're having health issues, They're aware of the contribution of their diet to their issues, but they choose to keep eating harmful things. If I don't care about you, Kiber, actually, kung hindi kita masyadong type, bibigyan pa kita ng lahat ng taba, at saka ng asin, at saka whatever. And you think that that's love? Actually, no, it's not love. But if I care about you, I feel bad because I start to worry. I start to worry about, the long-term effect of the food on you, or even the immediate effect. And at our age now, I see it now all the time na even in front of me. I have diabetic friends na in front of me, they eat poorly tapos biglang they're gonna have like a hypoglycemic or hyperglycemic episode, and they suddenly feel terrible, and then they're worried. If I care about you, I tend to find ways to help them have access to better food choices. I try to find out, like, is it hard for you to, buy fresh food or eat fresh food? My wife and I tend to um invite people over to serve them healthier food options, for example. So actually, we have a diabetic friend who like spent a week with us. Tapos sabi niya meron kasi siya yung
Match.
parang patch na nagde-detect ng sugar. Sabi niya, alam mo, my app has never like given me such great results as when
Wow.
I stayed with you guys for a week. And she's like, and I didn't even feel deprived. I felt like I was eating such delicious things. Pero it wasn't affecting me negatively the
That's so
way
nice.
the other yummy food I eat. So that's, I think, also like a way that you show your love. But maybe some people feel like that's a judgment, and eventually, if I try to, help in that way, but people don't, either they don't want to hear it, or they feel judged or terrible, or they don't want you to talk to them about food, or they just avoid you. We've had also, like, I've met people who actually, when they realize that we're healthier eaters, iniwasan na kami, ayaw nang kumain with us. That's parang,
So
hindi
funny.
naman kailangan na, because they probably think that we only eat salad. Parang in any restaurant naman, there's something that we
There's
can eat. Pero, di ba,
exactly.
there's always a healthier option now, especially now in modern restaurants. They cater to a lot of different allergies and dietary
Yes.
restrictions. There's always an option, and it's not a reason to parang, okay, let's stop hanging out because I can't eat with them. But meron nga kasing stigma na people have that, when you're making a better choice, that people feel bad. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Parang, yeah, there's a little bit of defensiveness, but that's interesting and another topic, and or if I know someone is eating poorly pero wala naman silang health issues, so there's no point in me like saying na, oy, wag ka namang kumain ng puro Cheetos lang yung kinain mo today. Pero wala
Yes.
silang problema, especially people who are like, bakit?
Sure.
Wala naman akong cholesterol problem, wala naman akong high blood. So what? Ikaw nga, meron kang issue na ganito, meron kang medical issues. Ako wala. So like, leave me alone. Then okay, like, I'm not trying to control people. It's just, if they don't know, then you try to inform them. Or if they have a hard time, preparing healthier food, so then you try to help them. But in the end, they make their own choices. And if I really feel like I'm worried about this person, I'll just tell them. Kasi I also have a close friend na ganyan na she was eating really poorly kahit na ang dami niyang sakit. Tapos, when common friends, like kind of pointed it out na, uy, you shouldn't be eating that much kasi meron kang condition na ganito. Tapos yung sagot, parang, so what kung mamatay ako?
Oh,
I'm
wow.
fine naman eh. I'm fine naman kung matapos na yung buhay ko. I've lived enough. So, if I die because of my food intake now, whatever, it's fine. And and pag nakarinig ka nung ganun, parang you wanna say parang, okay, bahala ka sa buhay mo. But also, when you care about a person, right, you say at least what I did was I said, well, maybe you don't care kung mawala ka na, but I care. Because I love you. I want you to be around. I want to experience all these things with you. I can't make you do something that you don't want to do, but I want to let you know that I care. I want you to be around. And also, a reminder for people who feel this way na kung mamatay ako, so what? You know what? Maswerte ka kung mamamatay ka lang instantly. Right?
Yun.
Diba?
That's
Mabuti
so
sana kung you eat poorly tapos biglang guaranteed heart
sad.
attack tapos mamamatay ka. But the problem is most of the time, it's not like that. You have a stroke, you get paralyzed, or someone has to take care
Yun.
of you. Who's going to take care of you? And then you become a burden to that person, especially if it's your partner who has to take care of you. So I this is a sentiment that I've shared in the past with others. I feel like if you have a family and if you have a partner, it is your responsibility to keep yourself healthy because people love you and people depend on you. And you don't ever want to put your partner or your family member in a position where they have to give up, parts of their life and spend so much and resources and money because they don't have a choice but to take care of you. If you have if you can control that and if you can prevent being that kind of burden to others, especially those who love you, who really won't have a choice, I think it's your responsibility to stay healthy. If you really love somebody, I don't believe na, oh, you love me kahit na may sakit ako, alagaan mo ko. No. If you really love someone, you will want to prolong your life together. You will want to make it easy for the other person. And you would not want to cause pain or suffering or financial distress because of your own carelessness. That's how I feel. What do
Yeah.
you think?
That's a good point naman
Right?
talaga, no? 'Di ba?
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah. It's
Stay
so
healthy.
easy and it's
Yes,
free.
yun. Yun
Diba?
ang ano, because exactly what you said a while ago,
Mhm.
food is something that you really can control. It's not like they're demanding you to eat them, di ba? It's like, you can just
Yeah.
say no and just be mindful. Yun lang naman ang importante doon, di ba?
Ikaw, let me return that question to you. Do other people's food choices affect you?
If it's a person I really love, sobra, like, of course, di ba? Exactly what you said, di ba? If it's gonna give them harm, tsaka, that's so easy to do instead of buying medicine
Mhm.
because yung condition mo na lumala because you're not eating correctly, 'di ba? But I won't judge
Mhm.
anybody, or I wouldn't say it won't really, I won't feel bad if 'di ba, that somebody doesn't want to eat that
Mhm.
food, 'di ba?
Mhm.
But if you're really somebody I spend time with and I talk to, you're my
Mhm.
family, I would say something. Kasi
Mhm.
nga hirap eh. It's really hard to see you quote unquote suffer if something you
Yeah.
can do, you can prevent it, 'di ba?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, if ako, it's funny what you said a while ago. Never ko narinig yun, pero ngayon may nagsabi, oh, healthy eater ka kasi, so I didn't, ano na parang, didn't ask if you wanted this, or di na
Mhm.
namin prepare kasi baka ayaw. Ako naman, exactly, or going out, 'di ba?
Mhm.
As we said, marami ng food options talaga. Ako, where do you wanna go? I'm sure meron akong kakainin diyan,
Mhm.
don't worry about it. Usually
Mhm.
naman sinasabi ko rin eh. Pero
Mhm.
yun, at least maybe, good example ka, 'di ba, of what
Mhm.
you choose. And then, if you see naman it's really good. Some people naman kasi they just don't try it because
Mhm.
they don't like it from the beginning. For example, they don't like to eat broccoli or carrots. Tapos you eat something that ang sarap naman talaga, 'di ba? It's nice to share it and they
Mhm.
might change their mind. So parang nagiging good example ka and just show that it's
Mhm.
really good, 'di ba? It's not, I'm not choosing food dahil that's the healthier option because it
Mhm.
looks good. I'm sure masarap 'to. That's why I'm
Mhm.
choosing it. 'Di ba? I won't choose something na, "Ay, yun ang nakainin ko kasi mas healthy na salad 'yan." Kung wala akong nakitang good salad, I won't even get it. I might get
Yeah.
soup, 'di ba? Or
Mhm.
something else, not
Mhm.
because that's the healthier option, because yun yung masarap and something that
Yeah.
I like eating, 'di ba? It's also healthier.
I think like the more that you're exposed actually and the more that you
Yes.
try different things, you don't see things as healthy or not healthy. Because some, di
Yes.
ba, hindi na kasi parang good food at saka bad food eh. When you try different things and you enjoy different things, like there are really times na I'm not thinking that I want to be healthy, but sometimes you just feel like my body is asking for a salad. My body is asking for vegetables. My body
True.
feels like you become sensitive kasi pagka you use, you use food as fuel and then you're attuned to your body.
Yes.
You get that feeling sometimes that I've had too much protein, like, and you feel that. And
You feel it
you feel
actually.
it. So it's not a matter of like good food, bad food now. And sometimes kasi akala ng mga tao ba, uy, healthy ka naman, salad. No, I'm craving salad right now. Particularly this
Exactly.
particular salad.
And
Yeah.
then when you're used to it na, hindi ka na talaga minsan mag-dessert fruits or,
Yeah.
it's a different na. I like it when you said that attune ka na talaga with your body. I
Mm-hmm.
think when you get older, it's a good thing you do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's really getting to know your body and then seeing what you react to, what kind of food you put inside your body.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba? You will notice it naman eh, 'di ba?
Mm-hmm.
If you like junk food, fine. Pero see what it will do to you if you minimize that.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Sa'kin talaga, I learned that also from my aunts. They're really super healthy eaters. They say,
Mm-hmm.
"Why would you put something that's not natural?" Yun
Mm-hmm.
talaga napaisip na talaga ako dun, na parang, saan nga galing yun, 'di ba? They made it, 'di ba? It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that they harvest or
Mm-hmm.
something, 'di ba? Like the chips. Although, of course, some of them potatoes, but some are just fake food, 'di
Yeah.
ba?
And then
So,
I think when you get used to it also, ayun nga, you're attuned to your body. You know that sometimes, kunyari ako, I eat too much sweets or I'm on vacation or I eat too much pastries or basta whatever it is, magbe-breakout na yung skin ko. And so I know I'm eating too much of this thing. I know how it feels in my body if I'm not properly hydrated. Diba? And
yes.
you feel everything now,
Yes.
and I don't know if it's a matter of age, pero talagang immediate yung effect na ng kung ano yung kinakain mo. So, it's not even a matter of nagda-diet ako, it's good, it's bad. It's an immediate effect. I don't want to feel bad. So I'm not going to eat this right now. Parang alcohol, di ba? Kasi dati walang effect masyado yung umiinom kayo eh.
Oh my
Tapos
gosh,
ngayon,
yes.
ang dali-dali ng magka-hangover tsaka sumakit yung ulo na I don't
Super.
mean to, I actually want to have a drink but I don't want the headache.
True.
Di ba? Tragic. But my
Exactly.
body is not gonna let me.
Not anymore, 'di ba? Sobrang
So,
interesting na talaga ngayon.
So
It
I'm
really
curious nga na
mm.
since I think we're on the same page about, you know, uh healthier food options and being attuned to our bodies. So can you share some of your eating habits, good eating habits that you've practiced through the years?
Ako talaga portions. That I think for me is the best eating habit. So, um eventually right now really I was just starting to just see kasi
Mhm,
I like working out. Pero yung
mhm,
results ko nga hindi nag-workout because nga of the eating habit I had before.
mhm,
Parang so workout lang ako ng workout. I enjoy it. But now I wanted to see everything how it would work out. So right now talaga what I did was at night I would not eat much carbs anymore.
mhm,
And then when I say a cup of rice, it's a half cup of rice.
mhm,
So yun talaga. But
mhm,
I eat everything. Like
mhm,
if I like a piece of donut. Pero right now talaga if you eat donut, half na lang. I didn't think na kaya ko yon. Like you're just like if there's a piece of chocolate, you can really just get that. So it's really knowing that satisfaction na okay na, 'di ba?
mhm,
So first portions and just knowing that you're full. Like, you don't push yourself. Although masarap talaga siya, masaya siya. It's part of, even when you're with friends, ang sarap mag-chew. Alam mo yun, it's
yeah.
just part of that. But you just have to just control. Um, Yun, so matagal na yun, I've got already soda, uh, juice drinks, fruit juices, wala na siya talaga sa sistema ko. So if I do wanna try, talagang you'll feel it so different na the carbonated drinks are so different
Mhm.
na. I've got already also, yun, instant mommy noodles, um, even canned foods, yung
Mhm.
wala na siya talaga, we don't
Mhm.
buy that. Tsaka perfect. If you don't see it, you will really not eat
Mhm.
it. So don't buy it at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
Talagang when you go out to grocery, if you see something na parang you just want that, just don't buy it.
Mhm.
Kasi it will be there. If it's you can see it, you'll just be
Mhm.
tempted to eat it.
Mhm.
So that's another one. And ako talaga, ever since breakfast person talaga ako. So I really eat breakfast. That's why by the end of the day, I'm not hungry. And I've also learned yung small, kahit 5 meals a day ka, but sobrang snacks or little portions lang is good. Diba? Dati, I would eat 3 times a day, pero talagang meal.
Mhm.
And now I eat more, but I'm not getting any bigger. I don't feel bloated. Yun naman yun yung feeling good. It's not about, oh, I'm fat or I'm slim. It's just about feeling good after eating a meal.
Mhm.
Yun. So those are the things na just being mindful and knowing your triggers. Like me, sa'yo rin, ako talaga water is important. I really have water
Mhm.
because sa akin may migraine talaga ako.
Mhm.
If I'm, if I'm dehydrated, it will trigger my migraine.
Mhm.
So, I have to eat at least something also or
Mhm.
else, yun. So, those are my eating habits na I think right now I already know.
Mhm.
Kumbaga, I indulge,
Mhm.
but I also know when to say, "Oh, sige, I can say stop." Ikaw, how
Mhm.
about you naman?
I think when we talk about good eating habits, it's important to recognize bad eating habits. Because sometimes we just do it
True.
absent-mindedly. We don't think na, ay, hindi pala yan, ideal yun. Hindi pala siya maganda for our health. Like, things like, I can think of like something like what I mentioned earlier is using food to soothe yourself. Yung kung ma-identify mo na, ay, malungkot lang ako ngayon or ay, stress lang ako, that's why I'm eating. It's important to recognize that para alam mo. And then maybe there are other ways of taking care of that kind of trigger. Or the mentality of looking at food as good food or bad food. Kasi all food is food. You know, a good food can be bad and a bad food can be good. You know, there's no evil and there's
True.
no like parang depriving yourself na, oh, I can't eat ice cream at all because it's a bad food. You know, yung ganun kasing mentality, it causes you to binge and to lose control when you see it as evil. Parang bawal kasi, parang bawal na gamot or it feels like eating. You know, kaya nga, you know, I have like a binging tendency because of my secret eating. Yung parang it becomes secret and it becomes like subversive. It feels like an affair. You know, so parang ikaw parang may thrill tuloy imbis na so what, I'm eating a spoonful of peanut butter, who cares?
Oh,
'Di
I
ba? Pero
know.
kung gawin mong secret, parang, oh shit, parang, oh, ito na sa akin lang to na walang nakakaintindi na ganyan, right? So, it becomes weird and unnecessarily harmful when it's not even a big deal. You know, the diet
True.
mentality of like, oy, lalaki ako, pero ay, ayoko yan, so papayat ako. Yung ganun. Instead of just maintaining
Yes.
well-balanced diet, parang pag ganun-ganun yung mentality because your objective is always weight loss. And it
True.
doesn't even mean good health. It just means na you get the validation and approval of others, you know. So,
True.
another bad habit is mindless eating, like opening a bag of chips and then manonood ka ng TV or kain ka lang ng kain. That can be an endless thing. And um I'll discuss the science of that later. Pero those things are like bad habits that you want to avoid. So good habits that we kind of uh, adopted through the years in our household from the moment that we first got together. We never had junk food or
Mhm.
chips or
Nice.
soda in our house. We never even talk about it, pero parang it just so happened that wala talaga. And not that we don't eat junk food or don't drink soda, but it's just not part of the grocery list. If we ever crave it, which is rarely, then we'll buy it. Pero ano lang, small portions lang. Parang I want to eat, parang minsan masarap kumain ng barbecue potato chips with your sandwich. 'Di
Yes.
ba? Or like if you want like a burger with fries, ganyan. Parang it
Rice.
doesn't have to be the bulk size na chips kahit na it's the same price as the small one. You can
Exactly.
buy the small one. And I think living in the city, especially New York City, has taught us this kasi there's no room. There's no room to buy a big bag of anything. Pero you can just buy a small one. You can buy one can or one bottle of soda, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be the big bottle. It doesn't have to be the bulk pack. It can be one piece of candy or one chocolate bar. Hindi kailangan na six pack because
Yes.
you're just satisfying that craving. I actually don't even remember the last time I've had Coke or Sprite. Not because binabawalan ko yung sarili ko. It feels good to drink a Coke. Yung parang, di ba, yung masakit na, malamig na masakit
Yeah.
na masarap, di ba? It's good. But, this is one thing that I learned, and I'm sure you notice it too. When you start to um, not have that around you, pagka kunyari, yung chocolate, kahit isang square lang, dalawang square, sawa ka na eh.
Mhm.
Because your body is not used to that spike of sugar anymore. So alam na nung body mo na parang, oh, you've had enough. You don't want anymore. Actually, hindi ako mahilig sa desserts really, but give me a lot of fruit and I will eat it. Because my body recognizes na, oh, I like fruit more than I like cake. I can't even finish a slice of cake actually because it's just not yung in my palate and I've never really had it. Pero kung sanay ka kasi dun sa spike of
Yes.
sugar, your body will look for it and you're not going to be satisfied until you reach that spike and what it does to your energy or, your feeling of satisfaction. So in our household, at least, it's already a habit for us. So we don't feel deprived because we know that if we really want it, we can get it,
Yes.
but there's no need to keep it inside your house. We don't have children in our house. So, for us it's like out of sight, out of mind. Kung meron talagang bag of chips dyan, yun talaga yung isa snack mo kasi madali. And then you're already imagining na, oh, yung taste niya, ang sarap niya, ganyan, and I can eat it, like I can eat the whole bag. But if it's not
Mhm.
there, you're gonna find a healthier option kung ano yung meron ka, right? And now that we're getting older, we have to actually consciously modify our diet. Not just because, some things immediately make us feel bad if we eat something too salty or too fatty, but some of us have conditions now, like, I mentioned earlier, like my wife has a cholesterol issue and she had her gallbladder removed about 10 years ago. So she really cannot digest fat. So for me, when she started needing to have these dietary restrictions, I really wanted to be part of that team. Because also, I've always wanted to also be healthier. So that was a good time to support her in that way. So for example, yung sa cholesterol issue, we really decided that we're really gonna cut down on our meat consumption because that's a major factor. So hindi na talaga kami bumibili ng beef and pork. Like if we want to eat that, then we can go to a restaurant and have it. Pero wala na rin. Like chickens, like, limited. I learned how to make all these like meat substitutes for the texture of it. Kasi I learned also na, uh, sometimes you're just looking for a particular like mouth feel, not necessarily the meat.
True.
Also, if you're not cooking with meat regularly, you stop being dependent on the flavor of meat to flavor your food. So yung mga other ingredients like vegetables and spices, it jumps out at you na. And you learn to appreciate the different tastes and flavors that you can achieve without always relying on meat and fat, pork fat, or all that stuff. So I think in a couple and in a family, it's important to be part of a team as opposed to yung parang bahala ka, ikaw yung may problema, hindi naman ako.
True.
Right? And that's also part of a love language too. Alam mo na makakasama dun sa partner mo, pero ikaw parang bahala ka dyan, hindi ko naman problema. It's like
Mm.
the same as, your partner already being sick, but you still keep smoking. It's a reflection, and I feel like, yeah, we each have our own lives, but we also have a responsibility. And as a couple, you have to work as a unit, and you have to treat it like a
Yes.
family. There's a system here. You can't just be to each to each her own, diba?
Yes.
So yeah,
Exactly.
these are the habits that we've developed, and when in time talagang masasanay ka na, and you really, even if you wanted to, you
Wala
can't.
na. Wala na.
You can't even
True.
do it because your body is not gonna tolerate it. So um uh I wanted to share, since we're wrapping up our discussion, also,
Ah,
like, I wanted to share some of the tips that I learned. I think it's important to remember that we're just parang players in this whole thing. There's a food industry that has
yes.
studied all aspects of psychology and food science to get you to eat the products that
Yep.
they develop, from product placement to, like, point of sale. Napapansin mo ang
Mm.
daming junk food tsaka candy pagka mag-check out ka na, pagka na by the cashier,
Counter.
because these are
Yes.
impulse purchases, and parang yun yung time na nakapila ka, you're bored, nasi-stress ka. It's really designed for you to grab it and to feel like you want it. And also, I actually read this very interesting article in the New York Times about how, food scientists and chemical engineers are getting paid big bucks, so that pag kumain ka nung isang piece ng junk food or Cheetos, especially Cheetos, I think that's the study that they did, you are really completely helpless to the power of that one, chip, because it's really designed from the powder, the coating, the texture, the crunch. It's really studied. Hindi na siya parang dati na parang, oh, it's, parang peanuts. It's just peanuts. Pero ito talaga, it's really engineered for you
Grabe.
not to be able to resist it. Lahat ng aspects of it, from the taste of it, to
Sure.
the crunch of it, to the fact na you can eat a whole bag na hindi ka mabubusog. Diba?
Yes.
That's part of the whole thing. And so you really have to make a conscious effort na aralin mo yung mga ganon, because you're really helpless, because these are engineers. Ikaw tigakain ka
Exactly.
lang, 'di ba? Lalo na
Scientific yan.
and it's
Calculated.
scientifically designed to make you fail and to make you eat more and buy more, to be very addictive, 'di ba? At saka lahat ng marketing, ang dami-dami ngayon
Wow.
nakalagay healthy, no trans fat, no ganito, baked not fried. It doesn't mean that it's healthy though. Pero kung hindi ka nag-iisip, you're going to be fall prey to that, and then you're just gonna keep eating
Exactly.
it. So one major tip that I have is to do your own research instead of falling into someone else's marketing, right? Another tip that I have is that, because we spend so much time emphasizing the emotional factor of food and eating, it's to a mindfulness, it's just another topic that we actually want to discuss, is to be self-aware and to know what your triggers are and how to soothe yourself without resorting to the easy way out of, like, stuffing yourself
True.
or distracting yourself with drugs, alcohol, or sex. So you can actually, there's meditation, there's exercise. There's all these other ways that we can maintain like a healthy, like balanced mindset and take care of our emotional health. So we're not trying to fix things and put a band-aid to address our traumas, our fears, and our triggers. And we can make better choices when we don't have that really strong pull of our emotions that will push us to do something that's not good for us. So those are
Exactly.
my tips. How about you?
Yes. Just to add, exactly, mindfulness, know exactly what you put inside your mouth before
Mhm.
you put it inside your mouth. Diba? You can control that talaga. Um,
Hindi lang sa food, charot.
yes, be safe, no? But exactly, 'di ba? Always, you know naman everything at this point, you can experiment, 'di ba? I mean, I know you want that. Just try to see how it will affect you by minimizing things, right? Hindi naman
Mhm,
siya cold turkey na wala agad eh, 'di ba? It's just be you have to really push yourself.
mhm,
Kumbaga, until it becomes a habit and until your body no longer
mhm,
craves for it.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
just patience and
mhm,
always remember mas mura to keep yourself healthy than buying medicines to prevent
mhm,
whatever you have already.
mhm,
You will not
mhm.
know that. Sana you don't have to know that and just say magsisisi ka sa huli, 'di ba?
Yeah. Mhm,
So sana you think about it now.
mhm,
And then again, it's not depriving. It doesn't
mhm,
mean to stop, 'di ba? Kasi if you stop also, magiging masungit ka. Even there's a lot of things. I've met people na nagda-diet tapos hindi kakain tapos talagang, oh my gosh, that how it strains them na everything mas stress. Then eventually, wala. It will just go back to the bad habit. And
mhm,
it's a lifestyle thing. You have to
mhm,
remember that.
mhm,
It's not only to a certain
mhm,
point na, okay, okay na ako, stop. It's not that. That's why it's a gradual thing because it's a
mhm,
lifestyle thing na.
mhm,
Yun, but enjoy food.
mhm,
It's such a, we're lucky to be, experiencing those things, diba? But there's a lot of ways. It's just trying it. If you
mhm,
don't like it, then you don't. But you should try it first.
mhm,
That's
mhm,
my tip.
mhm. And one thing to add there is like, like what you said that, when you enjoy things, especially at this point in our lives, right? Na, we have a little bit of, uh, I guess, disposable income. So sometimes you feel like I deserve to eat this and have this food experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. But also understand that since now you have a little bit of disposable income, you can also strive to have experiences outside of food to fill that void or that craving for adventure. And so there's other ways to utilize that and to also fill that craving, and you might not think it's related, but it is. It's a part of like your human experience of trying something new. And related to what you said of being listening to your body, pareho yata tayo na parang we're really big on water and hydration.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
something that really helped me actually in developing better food habits, because a lot of the time you're just dehydrated.
True.
Totoo
Exactly.
yun. Especially yung may ka-crave ka ng salt, and parang, that you're craving a particular taste. Try to satisfy your hydration and your electrolyte levels first. And actually, like, drinking like a glass of water before meals actually is really good too, so that mawawala yung hydration factor dun sa eating mo. And
Exactly.
that's one thing that I do actually first thing in the morning is to drink a lot of water. Para at least that thing, like your hydration is already addressed before you even start your day. So any final words from you?
Just and food is good for you. Don't make it your enemy, 'di ba? Just make it your companion. But yes, enjoy. Ako yun. Ako, I don't, if I'm gonna give also my program, I don't tell them, go just eat. But just have the correct, just know what, yun nga, not, don't eat the fake food. Eat the natural food, 'di ba?
Yun.
Yun.
Actually, yeah.
Mm-mm.
That's actually one easy way of like changing your eating habits is to just eat natural food. Yung pag-processed, kung hindi mo siya na-recognize in nature,
Yes,
'di ba?
exactly.
Oh, wala
But
namang cheese
minsan
curls. Wala namang cheese curls tsaka chippy in nature, 'di ba? So
wala.
parang whole things, right? And you can actually think of substitutes for that. If you're looking for something na you can pick it up, you can snack on while watching a movie. There are other things like instead of
Sobra.
chips, there's nuts, there's popcorn, there's other alternatives which will give you the same satisfaction. So that's one actually easy way of uh eating healthier.
Yes, to
As
decide.
yeah, as for me, in conclusion, I just
Yes.
want to remind everyone that the biggest investment you can make is your health. You can have all the money in the world, you can have all the possessions, you can collect
Mhm.
so many loved ones and invest in love and relationships and having a fulfilling marriage, but without health you really have nothing. Because if you lose your health, you cannot enjoy anything,
Go.
and you let people down, actually, especially the relationships that you've built. If you don't take care of your health in the ways that you have control over, you let people down when you could have spent a healthier, longer, healthier life with them. And with health, food is half the battle. It's actually the one thing that you can really control as far as health is concerned. But
So invest on your health, everyone. Yes.
cheesy, cheesy ba?
Easy
But
talaga. Pero that's
cheesy.
true eh. At this
It's
point, di ba?
true, and it's not just parang kaartihan. It's really your
Yes.
responsibility. There are people who depend on you, and even if there are no people who depend on you, you need to depend on you, right?
Correct.
So
Wow. Galing. I love this episode again. Can't wait to talk about more food options
more
or food
food,
topics.
'di
Sobra. And of
ba?
course, please share your thoughts on this, on what you do now for your health. Diba?
Mhm.
It's nice if you can give tips or just comment on our social media pages. At least people know ano yung okay na tips. And of
Right?
course, again, this has
Thanks
been
for
another episode of Salt and Pepe Podcast.
thanks for joining us again today. We'll see you next time.
Yes, see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for letting us spice up your day.
Keep on listening to Salt and Pepe Podcast.
Konting alat
Konting anghang.
and Pepe all around.
This has been Lia.
And Shakira.
See you next time.